Kind of get us started on.
No, we're gonna have a moment of silence.
Silence would be better.
Silence is better.
Silence is golden.
You be careful who you're standing by now.
Yeah, shoot, man, I'll tell you what,
She-
she got that knee going.
I-
I'm standing sideways. No
All
problem.
right. Are we ready? Is it that time? All right. Let's call the meeting to order. Today is December the 11th. We're here for our regular weekly meeting. Let us remember to silence our cell phones, please.
And mute your phones on the other side of the telephone conference.
Are we hooked up? Okay. All right, let us stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, call the roll, please, Adrian.
Mr. McLaughlin. Here. Ms. Albrecht.
Here.
Mayor Kathy.
Here.
Mr. Wallace. Here. Mr. Putnam.
Here.
Got a seat here for somebody. That's the attorney. All right, I have one comment before we start. I spoke with April earlier, but I want to make everyone aware. Saturday afternoon, Paul sent us these prints, was in town, and were set up at Mango Marley's, and we have a small version of Mexico Beach Hands that was done there at his little truck where he had it set up. And we are going to send a note from the city council to Paradise, California, offering them praying hands, working hands, but those are all from Mexico Beach. He was quite the character. If any of you did anybody in here get to see him, anybody's hands on that beside mine? Well, he was a character. He was. I enjoyed speaking to him, but that's what that's about, and April's going to handle that. Council comments. Anyone? Nope. Moving on. All right. Are there agendas arranged? So we'll just follow that. Under citizens' comments, if there are things you're going to comment on that's on the agenda, just hold tight. If not, if you have a comment, we'll entertain it now. All right.
Mayor, council people, Brock Crease, 422 Colorado Drive. I went to the thing, Christmas tree lighting. It was great. And it was nice listening to you talking about Mexico Beach, how the buildings were and things like that. So that was pretty good. I know there wasn't as many golf carts as last year, but I got one question I want to ask you guys, and I'm sure it's already been discussed. How long are you giving people who have homes to clean them up? I mean, ones that'll, is there a limit? I mean, if you have a vacation home and it's just trash and it's sitting there, is there gonna be a 3-month limit, 4-month limit? Somewhere where somebody has to come and clean it up, like the empty lots?
Speak to that.
We've started the right of entry process this week, where we can come onto private property with the waiver signed by the owner to clean it up, and we'll be doing that. A lot of owners were waiting on FEMA to approve that process so we can begin that work. And then once we complete that, properties that are still not cleaned up, then that'll just fall into the regular code enforcement process, and we'll handle it that way.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
Sure. Anybody else?
I just would like to comment, Gene Burns from Ocean Plantation, on what an awesome job you all have been doing. Every day it gets better, and just want you to know it's noticed and improved.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Moving on. Dina's not here, so do we have anything from Dewberry?
Just, you guys have in your packet their first task order, and that's gonna be for the 8th Street sewage line going across the 8th Street Bridge. We've gotta get that buried, so she's working on that. You also see a task order coming up for Canal Parkway to get that put out for bid. So those are the two things she's working on. You also have in your packet their updated contract with, I think it still has Nick's edits in it, we left those in there so you could see his edits. But basically, that's the new contract from the RFP with their new rates, in that,
But this, it's been approved.
yes.
I mean, this is just
Yes.
an informational.
Yes, exactly, for you
Okay.
guys, and the mayor will be asking you to sign that final
Okay.
copy.
Is that the engineering contract?
Yes.
The only thing really to focus on there, because we provided a contract in our RFP, RFQ, excuse me, the contract is almost identical to what we provided. The rates, which is the last page, differ slightly from the Dewberry rates that you're accustomed to. That would be what we would want your focus to be on. If you're fine with those rates, we'll get the contract finalized and executed.
And that is on which page? When you say the last page.
Let's find it. Section. It looks like this.
All right, so this, is that something you're wanting that we need to do today? Or is that,
In order to
Keep one.
enter into the new task orders for the new work, it would be necessary, but it may not be critical today. It could be something that could be handled next meeting.
We would like for you to sign it today because it's holding up that task order.
okay, when you say slightly different,
Well,
can you sort
actually,
of defend, or not defend, but can you describe what's slightly different?
well, some are higher. Slightly, I don't know if slightly is a correct word or not. I don't have the existing rates with me. Dina's here. She could probably address it.
She's tied up with Philip, we knew this was coming, right? Because the rates in the previous contract were back to 2005, I believe, so we knew that the increased rates were coming. So those are just their standard rates that they charge today, Mayor.
Okay.
They seem pretty reasonable, I didn't see anything that was.
Well, I knew we had approved the RFP, and I knew that was coming, I just didn't know if there was, based on Nick's comment, if there was something there that needed to be looked at.
And keep in mind, it's just, as it's been in the past, typically, they get paid when we get paid.
Paid, right.
For work that they do.
All right, well then, unless there's opposition, Chair will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to adopt the standard hourly billing rate for, new billing rate for Dewberry.
Second.
Have a motion second, discussion? Call the roll.
Mr. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Ms. Albrecht.
Yes.
Mayor Kathy.
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes.
Mr. Putnam.
Yes.
Okay, is there anything else under Dewberry? That's it? Okay, next is the St. Joe Company.
Tanya, did you want to address the task order as well, or is it purely?
We talked about it.
St. Joe Company is here. They're gonna give us a presentation. Mr. George Gonzalez, President of St. Joe Company. And George, I'll let you introduce those that are with you, and please, everybody, just sort of squish up. Thank you for being here.
No problem. Thank you for the opportunity and the time. We're not gonna make it formal and fancy presentation. We're neither formal or fancy people. We just wanted to talk informally about some of the thoughts that we've been having before we move on with any more steps. Here with me, I've got Justin and Bridget from St. Joe also. What we'd like to do is be the first ones that start investing in Mexico Beach to start the redevelopment process. We've been around this area for a long time, as everybody knows. We're keenly aware of the uniqueness of Mexico Beach, the character that made Mexico Beach unique and special. And we want to do something that is consistent with that character. We don't want to do something that changes that character in any way. This is a preliminary concept that we've been thinking about. We're not here to seek any approval for anything. This is just an informal conversation because we want to let the public and the mayor and the commission know what we're thinking. We anticipate that as we move forward with the planning process, we'll have many opportunities to obtain public input and feedback from a lot of people. I also understand that you're going to be starting a visioning process. we certainly wanna, be very consistent with that process. So the property that, we're talking about is property that we own just, to the west of the canal, on the north part of, US 98, next to the boat ramp. So the thoughts that we've been having and the vision that we've been having for this property are a couple different things. We're internally calling this concept a village concept. That's the way that we're envisioning it. It's a village concept that has a mixture of uses. For example, one of the uses are garden apartments that can potentially cater to Tyndall, as Tyndall comes back, and the families from Tyndall start moving back. Garden homes that are modestly priced, that can cater to locals, they have an interest. And commercial retail with a town center concept and a gathering area around that concept that can provide an opportunity for local businesses to lease space in those buildings and run their businesses the way they were running them before the storm. This is not something that, if we in any way felt that this was not consistent with the character of Mexico Beach, we would have no interest in doing that. We want to be consistent with that character and the things that make Mexico Beach special, we want to perpetuate that. We also want to give an opportunity for local businesses and locals, if they want to consider this area as a place for them to start their businesses again. We want to make that easy for them and make the investments for them to be able to use these facilities. So again, this is just the beginning point. We're not here for any approvals, we're not here for anything like that. We anticipate having a pretty long process where we obtain public feedback and feedback from the city as we plan the project. But we didn't want to go too far down the road without at least having this interaction in a public setting to let everybody know what our thoughts are. So, like I promised, I wasn't too fancy or too formal, but again, we just wanted to share our thoughts with you.
Are you talking local businesses or national franchises?
We would love local businesses. We would love for 100% of the village shops to be local businesses. That would be our intent.
Is it just the green area, or?
Yeah, and again, this is just a concept, but the boat ramp is here. So this is what we're thinking closest to the boat ramp with a little town center concept where these are the commercial shops right here. These would be garden apartments. These would be single family homes, potentially some townhouses or villas and single family homes on that side.
Is that all in the city limits? Is that all in the Mexico Beach city limits?
Yes, this is all in the city.
How many units total you looking at?
We don't know yet. You know, that's part of what the progression of the planning process will tell us. We have to consider, as you guys know, all kinds of things. We think the right approach here is having a village mixed-use product, not just one type of land use. That way folks can live here, they can rent, they can own, they can walk to the shops. That's the concept that we're starting with.
Where's 98 on there then?
Right there.
That's, right there, isn't it? Okay.
How big did you say the parcel of land?
This is what, 400?
Yeah, the entire parcel,
Parcel North is 300 acres,
So it's a-
198.
Probably a little bit over 200 acres.
This has nothing to do with the original bonfire beach?
No, this is Tyndall locals, helping to come back from after the storm. This has nothing to do with what we may do in the future on the Gulf side. The reason why we thought about this was immediately after the storm, we started thinking about this concept.
How would the traffic, I mean, would there be roads widened, or would, to accommodate all the?
Yeah, that would be part of what we would have to do. We'd have to perform a traffic study, understand turning movement, turn lanes, capacity. That's all things that we would have to do.
Did you rule out national franchises there for commercial business? Did you rule that out there?
We want local businesses
Right.
to move into these facilities.
You won't, but you didn't blue.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
would you
what I'm
allow,
trying to-
would you allow?
Yeah, I mean, we control who we lease to.
How quick, if everything worked perfectly well, would you consider construction to start?
Yeah, I think a lot of that's gonna depend on kind of how the city and the public feels as we move forward. We're ready to make these investments today. That we don't wanna do it in a way where people don't feel like they've had input and idea of what we're planning.
Are you willing to move your investment somewhat into the area that's been destroyed? Is there gonna be any help there from the paper company?
We would love to. We don't own any property. This is the only property we own inside of the city limits.
But you have clout, don't you, on the political clout?
Yeah, but there's still private ownership of land. I mean, if there's opportunities for us to purchase land and it's something that we think can benefit the area, we'll consider that. Obviously, it's easier for us to start on property we own.
By you coming in here, the amenities and all that you're gonna impose on the city is gonna be what you're doing to help the city with all the stub-ins to the sewer and the water. That alone is gonna be how much money, just from what you see. As far as helping the city, I'm saying, everybody owns their own private property, and I know you're not obligated to come in and take care of all the city stuff too, but it's, in answering that question of helping, I would see a lot of help coming just from the amenities that we're gonna get from this with the sewer, the water, and bringing people in to like watercolors and everything else you did. So how much money are we looking at ballpark?
I don't really know, and I hate to wing. You know, as we move forward, we can quantify that a little bit more. One thing I will say is, we will not be seeking any special anything. We will not be seeking any waivers of anything. We wouldn't be seeking any exemptions from fees. To us, this is something that we would do purely with investment on our end. We wouldn't be asking the city for any special favors of any kind.
That'd be great on its own. So many places devastated like this are doing all kind of, you know, things to help other companies, corporations to come in. And if you're not asking for anything like that, that's just another plus for the city.
Yeah, and we're not criticizing folks that do that in other places. That's just not what we like to do.
I understand.
We think that there's an opportunity to, for us, an opportunity to also help the community at the same time. That should stand on its own.
Right, I was on the board back when St. Joe was meeting with the city back right after Opal, you know, when you were planning on doing stuff. And I know some people on the board were saying, well, what are you gonna do for us? Well, in my opinion is, being a small developer, you know, I take care of my own stuff, and you bringing your stuff in, or me bringing anything I bring into the city. We got 160 acres on the back of the beach that we'll hope to bring into it. And, you know, all of that's gonna be sewer, water, everything that you tie in when you, come into the city. If the city accepts you, is, you know, $4,000 or $5,000 per unit, plus every month you got that fee coming in. But they were wanting to, you know, do the street, the city sidewalks and all this stuff, which was not their property, and they were willing to help, but again, they're in business to make money, and I understand that. And from what I see is, this is something you're doing is really gonna help the city with the amenities and everything you got coming in with it anyway.
Yeah, we would take care of our own end. We
Yeah,
wouldn't ask
and I
for-
know most people, I've been here all my life like Al, and I don't know how everybody feels, but you know, I've lived here all my life, and I don't wanna pat myself now. I can't speak for everybody. I don't want Panama City Beach, even though we have a real estate company. We don't want the high rises everywhere. I've always I've loved to be able to walk
These
out.
apartments that you're talking about, how many stories are those?
First, let me make it clear, we don't want for this to be Panama City Beach. We don't want it to be.
Thank
I'm not saying you couldn't have something here or there and have it all work together, but, you know, cause you've got to have, it's only so much land. There's only got so much commercial property. So in using that land, in some places, apartment buildings, we don't have anywhere for people to stay. So I understand that the height variance, you might have to have some, I'm not talking about 200 and 300 foot, but you know, some kind of.
Let's clarify that, because that can get out, that can spread like wildfire.
Yeah.
Okay, let's clarify that. This is already a PUD and is zoned, just like the regular city zoning. Okay, it's not, we aren't starting here as if they don't know what the rules are when they brought this. Okay, so,
And our plan would be to follow the rules.
Well, you're-
and
you're
it's
in
al- it's
compliance with
already
the
in the
LDR
city.
as it's written.
So
Right.
it falls under the same LDR that somebody on 41st Street.
But to make it clear, no condos, no high towers. The apartment complex, they're typically 2 and 3 stories. I can't imagine going 4 stories with the apartment complex, so either 2 or 3.
Okay.
We don't want, the character and the uniqueness of Mexico Beach is what makes this community so special. We don't want to change that in any way.
Yeah, there'll be an EIS done for this, right?
What was that?
There'll be an EIS done.
Yeah, we'll have to do all the environmental and traffic studies and.
Everything.
And what you did at Windmark and
What's the
Woodville was
little,
beautiful.
Cutout.
Are there questions from the council? I want
Just
to try to-
curious, I can't see from here, the little cutout that's over.
Here?
Just below your
Below
feet,
your feet.
roll it right down. What
There.
is that, out of curiosity? I can't.
Oh, it's just
In the middle.
Yeah, that's a potential swimming pool.
Oh, hey, a big pool.
Oh,
That just shows how much
It's
it is.
here.
Zoom in.
They're showing what that is.
Just
Show us some of the detail.
Will there be an opportunity for, when you say affordable, like our employees live in Callaway, all over, I mean, is there a possibility you could work in this, so maybe we could have, employees that live within the city limits?
Our intent, when we put the business plan for this project together, is really, very modest, pricing for homes, for rental apartments. This is not something that we would do to cater to, you know, very high demographic.
Exactly what do you mean by modest? Because your version of modest is probably not the same as mine.
Well, we, and I can understand that if you look at what we've done in Walton County, but we've done a lot of other things, in Bay County, that, are totally different than Walton County. Can't quantify that right now, but, as we move forward and we'll have more dialogues with the city, we'll be able to quantify it better. But this is for us, we would call the residential component for workforce housing. For folks that are in the community working in Tyndall families, with the good news that we heard recently about the F-35s, and hopefully that
they're coming back.
that will come to fruition. We want to be ready. I know that's not gonna happen tomorrow, but we wanna get a running start and be ready, so those families have potentially a place to live.
Are these gonna be custom homes, or are they gonna be homes that are painted pink and purple and what they're all saying?
Don't know yet. Don't know yet.
What's the access off 98 to the development? I'd like to see from here.
Yeah, right now, in this concept, we have that new road right here, and I know people can't see me, so I'm sorry, but this new road that we would build.
Oh, okay.
Where does that go? Where's it come from and where's it
Boat
go?
ramp.
Yeah, it goes by the boat ramp, whether we connect there or not, again, that would be part of the process, we go with the city.
Some in the back, or a couple in the back, ask, what's the color coding actually on that? Green is your apartment?
This is, single family, this is, garden apartments, this, kind of brownish color, light tan is, the shops, commercial. This would be potentially some attached, single family, and then that single family attached.
Did you say how many units?
Yeah.
Don't know what the total number was in this concept plan, you remember?
Ballpark?
It's, I think north of 400, it's a couple hundred single family, about 170 townhomes, and a little over 400, I think, apartments, garden apartments as it's shown right now.
400, probably 2 cars per unit, that's about 800 cars.
Yeah, we
Are they
wouldn't
being
do,
kind of back beach type road planning and?
yeah, we wouldn't do all this at one time.
Right.
This would be phased over time. Initially, for the garden apartments, we would probably look somewhere in the 100-unit range.
What are garden apartments again?
Just apartments,
Just
for rent.
Just
Not
in
condominiums.
general, right.
How
Let me
much
ask you this, will this
retail?
tie into the Beta Gulf Highway eventually somehow?
Yeah, we certainly would plan for that,
Yeah.
so we wouldn't.
So you wouldn't be in 98, wouldn't be flooded up, Beta Gulf's 4-lane highway.
Correct.
Yeah.
Being it's Mexico Beach city limits, what does this bring in with all the people for recreational purposes for Mexico Beach right now? You already mentioned boat ramp, in summertime, you can't even get around the boat ramp, it's already packed. Well, what plans do you have for the city for more recreation spaces?
Well, I think that's one of many topics we would talk to the city about as we go through this process. And the reason why I don't have a lot of specific answers, because there's a, you know, folks are uncomfortable either way. Sometimes developers finalize all their plans and then submit them at the very end without public input. They can answer a lot of questions, but there was not a lot of dialogue with the public. We opt to do this differently. This is the very beginning of our thought process. So that's why I don't have a lot of specific answers, because we just don't have it. We hope to, when we engage in the process with the city, we hope to refine that concept more and more.
What are you thinking when you say engage with the city? What are you, after we leave today, what are you thinking would be St. Joe's?
Yeah, we're very comfortable. We do this everywhere. We're very comfortable having open house forums, for example, where maybe we come up with a little bit more, a couple more concepts for folks to look at, and we'd love to get people's feedback and input as we move forward.
From the council, is the concept where some we would want to see some more?
No,
And hear some more and
yeah.
have more?
The only thing is, I know we were trying to keep, you know, local businesses, which I totally agree, but I'm wondering if there would be room at this point in time as that builds with a Publix type store for the whole community. I don't know, that's the only outside I can think of.
It'd be up to the council.
Oh, I know.
Well, that's, you know, like
I know,
I
as
said,
we
it's-
talk,
this concept is shops.
yeah, shops.
Shops.
Well, that's a subdivision. And Back Beach Road is a road that's built, supposedly gonna have your other small motels and Publix and places like that, which I don't know how far down the road it is, but that's the way it was put to me when we owned the property that they bought. And, that was their intake on doing that. They wanted to be able to put into Publix and, you know, just like we went through Destin on the back, and not impose anything on the beach on the front and everything, keep it more or less like it was.
Are there other, I just don't want, does anybody else have a specific question concerning this concept? Yes, go ahead, Jim.
Have you given any thought to expanding the commercial area south of 98? Because that's not a whole lot of commercial area right there.
It's actually more than you think in terms of what it could yield, in terms of square feet. But we're open to anything. This was just the first stab at putting the concept together. And we hope to also engage with local businesses to get a, you know, we're believers in talking to people. You know, a lot of these market studies that are done, you know, folks come in from out of town and do a market study. We'd like to engage the business community too and get a feel for them too, on what their desire would be and how much space they need. And then we would use that to finalize our plans.
Yeah.
You mentioned rental properties in there. Is this going to be gated and there's going to be any kind of restriction on who
No,
can
we
rent?
don't
Is this going to be open?
We don't anticipate gating. This is not a, you know, beach resort community that is for the 1%. That's not the way we're planning this.
All right, well, thank you very much for coming, and so that we have some direction, if the council has no objection, then we would engage you to give us your next step that you would like to go through. How's that?
Yeah, that sounds good, and I think what we'd like to do, the next couple steps, is maybe have some informal open houses that we would continue to share more information, get feedback, answer questions, and then we'll use that information to plan the project, and then get back to the city with additional thoughts.
Hopefully in a larger room.
I like this though.
Sort of quaint, isn't it?
It is.
You got character. Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Good to see you. We good?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, guys.
Can we make a picture of it?
This is just a first rough draft. When we have the open houses, we'll have more information that people can look at.
Mr. Al, is this a different tract of land than they talked about donating to the city before?
Yeah, it has nothing to do, this is already in the city.
Yeah, we're in discussions with the city.
Yeah, we're still,
Okay, I didn't know.
we're still Christmas shopping.
All right, far from here, but it's not there.
Thank you.
Right?
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Appreciate
so
your
much.
time.
Appreciate you coming. All right, we still got an empty chair now. All right. Come here, Miss Al. Stood by Bubba long enough. Come on.
You gonna let me sit here?
I told you, anytime. Don't leave. All right, Moving on with our agenda, we have next is the second reading of ordinance 708. Do I have a motion to read by title only?
So moved.
Second. I have a motion second. Any objection to reading? Please do so, Mr. Clerk.
Ordinance 708, an ordinance amending ordinance number 685, adjusting the current rates to be charged for the use of the municipal water and sewer system for service inside and outside the city limits of Mexico Beach, allowing for senior citizen discount and vacant lot rates, repealing ordinances and or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance, and providing an effective date.
Okay, just for clarification, before we move to the motion to adopt, this is a pass-through from the county. It is not any type of rate increase that's being imposed by this city. It's what we do every year. If the county goes up on our water rate, we pass that through. Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 708?
So moved.
Second. Have a motion and a second. Any questions? Comments? Call the roll.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Ms. Albrecht?
Yes.
Mayor Kathy?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Putnam?
Yes. Thank you. Next is ordinance 709.
If I could I comment briefly?
Sure.
The copy of the packet that's inside the draft errors, this one is corrected. There are no changes to the rules or the general purpose or anything. It's just a few spots where there was a word missing, or it should have had an S and it didn't have an S, something like that.
Thank you.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll probably not even notice the differences, but for what we eventually adopt and put in the records, this one is correct.
Okay. All right, this is also for a second reading. Do I have a motion to read by title only?
So moved.
Second. Any objection to reading? Please do so.
Ordinance 709, an ordinance of the City of Mexico Beach, Florida, tolling certain time limits during the previously established building moratorium, allowing recreational vehicles and campers to be placed on certain residential lots for 365 days, allowing food trucks and modular buildings to be placed at certain commercial locations for 365 days, providing for severability and providing an effective date.
Is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second. Have a motion and a second. Any questions, comments? Call the roll, please.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Ms. Albrecht?
Yes.
Mayor Kathy?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Putnam?
Yes. Thank you. Moving to other business, Tanya, is this you?
Yes, lift station panels, we thought we would have the bid ready for you guys to look at. You did approve in our last meeting putting these types of repairs out for bid, so we'll be doing that. We did want to show you what we were looking at, but it's not ready. But we'll have that ready the next meeting, but we're gonna go ahead and, if you're, with your approval from last meeting, put this stuff out for bid.
I have a question about this, and I'm not sure what section of town. Philip predominantly talks about the south side. What is the section just east of Guff Foods, those 5 town, there's 6 of them? And who else lives down that way? Paul Francis, just so you get a reference. Do those people have water, or do you know?
I don't think that they do currently. I can get an answer before the end of the meeting.
Okay, I've had several calls about that section there. I didn't know.
It's pretty damaged.
Okay, I'll get with you later. All right, so we're passing on that. You're gonna go ahead and put the RFP out.
Well, it's just a bid.
I mean, a bid, yeah.
Yes, yes. We have 28 lift stations, 6 are being replaced by, Florida Rural Water. We're gonna leave the 2 in Beacon Hill as is, those were not damaged, so it's just replacing the remaining 18, 17, 18.
Okay. All right, number 2, legal service contract, who's handling that?
Would you like it?
Our
I'll let
legal,
Nick do it. I'll let our lawyer handle the legal.
Sure. And I apologize if you didn't think that the packets, we had some confusion on Friday afternoon. What this is about is the way I was hired was an RFP in 2015, and my firm was selected. We entered into a contract. There's a copy of it attached. It's just black and white letter. That's just how we do our contracts. So the RFP set up a 2-year term with a 2-year extension at the city's option. And so when September of 2017 came along, I didn't think about it, I didn't remember it, the city didn't think about it, they didn't remember it, and business went on, life was good. So we're now at the beginning of our 4th year of this contract, and we probably would have never have even thought of this and done anything with it, but we are attempting to get a lot of my fees reimbursed from federal and state resources because they've been related to the storm. So we're trying to put our paperwork in order. So what I'm asking is a retroactive approval of the extension that would have been September 2017 through the end of August 2019. You still have total authority to cancel early if you want to. This isn't any kind of guaranteed term. It's really a matter of clearing up something in the paperwork that we don't want federal agencies to hung up on. So there's a resolution attached. It would retroactively extend the contract, and it would have the same expiration that we always intended from the RFP, which is this upcoming August. At that point, you can look at possibly other attorneys or renew me or whatever you want to do. The other note in it is on January 1st of this year, my firm officially combined with an Alabama firm. We all heard about this and talked about it. So my old firm, Harrison Sale McCoy, became Hand Arundel Harrison Sale, so that's the name that's in this resolution if you choose to approve it.
All right, so do we, from just sort of the logistics of this, do we need to approve the resolution or to?
Correct. The resolution.
The resolution is all that we need to do.
The rest is just background to
That's
explain
what
why
I
we're
thought.
doing this.
All right, Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to read the resolution.
I make a motion.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Right, I make a motion to read the resolution to retroactively approve our legal service.
Second.
Have a second? Discussion? Please read.
Resolution 2018-10, a resolution of the City of Mexico Beach, Florida, retroactively extending its engagement with the law firm of Hand Arundel Harrison Sale LLC for 2 years, from September 1st, 2017 through August 31st, 2019.
Okay,
Motion to
thank
adopt.
you. Aren't you Mr. Robert Rules of Order?
Yeah.
Thank you. I am impressed. Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
All right, call the roll, please.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Ms. Albrecht?
Yes.
Mayor Kathy?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Putnam?
Yes. Before we leave that, I think it's appropriate for me, being we're on the legal side, I want to, I have a letter here, and it's from Nick and from his firm, and it's from, they are making a contribution to the city of $2,500 to be used for the city employees. And
Oh, nice.
we want to recognize that. We want to officially thank you for that. Our employees have been awesome during this 60 days of turmoil. And we never, or at least I don't feel like, seldom is there a way to fully say thank you to them for what they do, but this is very, very well appreciated. And we thank you and your firm for that.
You're very welcome, and I would just like to add, when we combined with the Alabama firm and got bigger, that might have made some people have some concerns, but it was their idea to donate to charities. I just helped them pick which one.
Good. Good. There you go. I'm gonna pass this to Adrian. The check is there.
The check's there.
I mean, I'm not just giving you the letter, I'm giving you the real thing. Keyword. So, all right, miscellaneous, turn that over to you.
I have a couple of things. Okay, so you guys approved, we have a 90-day moratorium, which ends about February 8th. We are allowing FEMA to put mobile homes into Rustic Sands and or Angela Estates, our mobile home parks. These are the FEMA trailers. We have a family of 6 that's in Rustic Sands right now in a camper, and they're purchasing their own mobile home. The moratorium prohibits that from coming in until February the 8th. But this is a situation where we're letting the FEMA trailers come in. So I just wanna put this before you guys. We said we were gonna follow the rules, but we were also gonna be compassionate. And it's difficult to tell a family of 6, you gotta stay in that camper when they have a mobile home ready, when we're letting FEMA bring mobile homes in. So I talked to Nick about it. I just wanna bring it up and see how you guys feel about that. If it's an existing mobile home park and we're letting others bring in, now there's the whole base flood elevation issue, so we're gonna have to make sure that if they bring that in, it's gonna be raised enough that it's gonna not be an issue, for the moratorium, but
I think we should, absolutely. I agree.
Do they have a spot, so?
Right.
Mhm.
So Nick, is there anything we need to do with that, ordinance, or just?
Yeah, the issue is the moratorium puts on hold the placement of new mobile homes. This one is a little unique though because it's in the mobile home park, well, it's an RV park. Just a voice motion to allow it to proceed is all we're looking for.
Make a motion that in this case we allow a mobile home to be moved in during the moratorium into the mobile home park.
Rex, was that a second for the week? All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there a discussion? Okay. Make sure that is properly documented in the minutes. I mean, the reason. Okay. Call the roll.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Ms. Albert?
Yes.
Mayor Kathy?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Putnam?
Yes. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Second one is Living Waters Church. They're gonna be rebuilding and they're bringing in a modular, but they don't have enough space for the modular and rebuilding their building. So they've asked to place their church modular across, I don't see in here, anyways, on an adjacent lot across the street. I believe that is a commercially zoned lot. We looked at that. So there shouldn't be any issue. We talked about allowing, individuals to do that with the RVs. We really didn't talk about that with businesses and their modulars. So I'm just asking the same thing. We knew these things were gonna come up as we,
Where's it
started
going
doing
again,
this.
please?
Just across,
It was where 116th Street, it was right across the street from where Living Water was.
Across Highway 98?
no,
No.
no,
Oh, across, okay.
the side
On the
street.
north side of Highway 9.
Sure, yeah. On the west of the old house.
Yeah.
That old block house.
Yes.
That's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It had all the code violations.
Yeah.
I remember that.
You know.
I remember that.
So this will, we would allow them to get their church up and running and while they rebuild, so.
Okay, is that, another, why would that need a motion?
Well, we said okay on the RVs, we really didn't, the ordinance does not allow, we didn't allow a business, or in this case, a church, to put their modular building on a different lot.
Okay, on a different lot.
But-
It actually doesn't, it's not contrary to the ordinance, we just didn't talk about this in
Right.
the ordinance.
So
Like
it's
there may
just,
be other ways.
if there's not an objection, is that enough? Or does that need an official, I don't see where that needs an official motion.
If nobody's objecting or wants to discuss.
Is there an
it further.
objection to that from the table?
No.
Consider that good.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, that's all I have.
All right, April? You have any-
No, thanks to everybody who came out for the holiday lighting. It was, a wonderful event and a nice way to bring the community together. That's all I have.
Fire?
All is good in Parker Park. We are now completely alone as far as the fire department is concerned. We have Gulf EMS, obviously like we had before. We seem to have an awful lot more MVCs, motor vehicle crashes happening of late. We had one last night. We still got a power pole on 98. She must have been doing at least 65, 70 miles an hour when she hit it. So we would obviously ask anybody to keep an eye out for people doing crazy things on the road. Let our police department know so we can try and curb that before anybody gets killed. But other than that, all is good. We are always here if anybody needs anything, any little bit of help, some manpower. Give the fire department a shout. We'll be happy to come and help.
Thank you. Questions? Adrian, you have anything?
Just a lot of behind the scenes money negotiating, nothing bring up yet, but working a lot of options, and I promise I'm doing something, even if I'm not giving reports every week. That's all I have.
Okay. Jerry?
I just heard, I don't know, somebody asked me about, are we going to discontinue picking up debris on the curbside? And I think this came from Bay County. I said, well, we're in Mexico Beach. You know, until it's necessary, we are in Mexico Beach. So there's nothing anytime, because we just signed a contract with the people to continue to pick up the debris. So I just, you know, whatever you see on, what is it, Facebook and that other thing, some of it you can believe and some of it you can't believe. But I just want to make
Well,
sure.
it should come from City Hall.
Well, that's, some
Not
people.
from Facebook.
It's just
Well,
rumors
I
that
agree.
started.
I agree.
That's been a rumor out there
But
that
it
we were
doesn't
stopping
happen
as of
like
December
that.
24th.
Well, then those that believe that, I don't have a lot of patience for them. They don't, if they're gonna call you or me and I get those calls, but I tell them, well, I don't know where that came from.
Maybe I have too much facial hair, I
I don't know. You got anything else?
don't. No.
Okay.
Mayor, let me just say something, I said this earlier, the right of entry process where we'll come on your property and clean up your debris, we have started that. The form is on the city website, it's on Facebook, we have copies out here, it's got the process outlined, what you have to do. These are for uninsured properties, where you want us to come in now, even if if your property, you can get the debris to the right of way, but this is where we're gonna come on your property and get that debris for you that's still sitting on your property. This is the property that Michael put on the ground, we're not gonna come in and take down your structures yet. We've asked FEMA for permission to do that, they have not given us permission to do that yet, but we will come on your property with the proper waiver signed by you, and we'll get that debris for you, so that is.
Is that for everybody or just those without insurance?
It's those without insurance at this point.
Okay.
Does that include appliances?
Yeah. Anything that's there, anything that was left, we'll take it.
But the owners can still continue to
Push
push
it
their
to
debris to the roadway.
Anything that Michael put on the ground, whether you're insured or not, you can push it to the right of way. and
Do
we'll
the
pick it up.
people who have property here that do not live here, how do we let them know that this is going on?
We put it on our website, we put it on Facebook, it's in, no, I did not put it on, we did not have it.
Yeah, 'cause the fellow behind me doesn't have nearly as many trees now, 'cause 8 of them fell on my lot.
We heard about that last week.
But you got insurance.
So-
We'll keep bringing this up till the trees disappear.
Right, but what you can do, Mr. Wallace, is you can call your neighbor and tell them that process is available, and we'll come take care of that.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, the only question I have, and I think I brought it up last time, the process for getting ahead of the moratorium, making sure that we are on the front side of the moratorium. When will this council be involved in, what do you, somebody just, not dates, but just, here's what we're looking at.
January, beginning of January, P and Z had their first workshop last night, accomplished
Okay.
some of that work, but you'll start seeing that in January.
So anybody who's listening, anybody that's here, 6 o'clock on Mondays in this room.
P&Z.
Pretty much every Monday moving forward, 6 o'clock.
Okay. Nick, you have anything?
I do not.
Rex? Bill, anything? Any comments, comments, work, chief? No, chief, not?
Sir, Mayor, I had a quick update.
Oh, okay. Yeah, come on, SBA,
Yes,
sure.
sir. Hi, everyone. I think I've spoken to most of you. I am Tamim Choudhury from Small Business Administration. Most of you probably heard of our services. We go wherever FEMA goes. We offer the low-interest, long-term loans to your homeowners, renters, businesses, and nonprofits. We ask everyone to take advantage of it. We have very few days. The last I heard, the deadline is December 17th. So please, if you know of anyone who still hasn't done so and is interested, tell them to please fill in this loan. It's of no cost whatsoever. Homeowners may receive up to $200,000 with an interest rate as low as 2%. Homeowners and renters may both receive $40,000 for personal property damages with an interest rate, again, as low as 2%. Businesses and nonprofits, this is something new I've just learned. For nonprofits, houses of worship, they're being included in public assistance for FEMA. So here's how it works. In case a church has been significantly damaged, you basically have to come through SBA. If SBA denies your loan, or if your loan's not good enough to completely rebuild the structure, then you file an application with FEMA's, it's called FloridaPA.org. So be happy to talk to anybody about this. Time is definitely of the essence as far as I know. We had a center right here, as most of you know. We had 48 visitors right there at the center. It was right behind Mexico Beach City Hall at our Public Works building. If anyone still wants that one-on-one personalized assistance, we're still here at Port St. Joe, Gulf Coast College. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hours are Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6 p.m., Sundays, noon to 5 p.m. That's pretty much my overview of the program. Be happy to answer any questions anybody has at the time.
One question.
Yes, sir.
If you have applied and you have a registration number or an application number.
Yes, sir.
But you haven't given it, you just haven't gathered the documents. Is the 17th, I mean, do you have to have everything in by the 17th?
I'm real glad you asked that. No, you don't have to have it. You should get a letter, sir, if you're an applicant who's already submitted, because the submission's all that we ask for. They give you a letter saying that, dear Mayor, please submit your business documents within, say, 7 business days of the time that we've received your application. So this is just, I mean, I'm hypothetically speaking. So once you've submitted that application, that's it. You have like
then the clock starts on the time to submit it.
Yes.
Not that you've missed the deadline.
Yes, sir, and it's like customized according to the applicant.
Mayor, I forgot to mention, Congressman Dunn's office will be here next week from 9 to 12 for anyone who is having issues that they would like to discuss with his office. That could be problems you may be having with FEMA or any other federal agency. They will be in the Public Works Department behind us. It's next Tuesday. Next Tuesday from 9 to 12. They may do additional office hours, but for right now, they're starting with just next week.
Okay. I'm sorry, we started. Okay. Any last comments?
My name's Sam Kent, and I live on Fifth Street. I'd like to know what the protocol is. We have garbage twice a week, and a person comes down on the weekend, eats, puts their garbage in their can, inside their cage, and then Bear comes on Monday, and the garbage is all over the place. Can I call someone to get that garbage picked up?
It's not our garbage.
It's not our garbage. And things look bad enough, and now we got garbage all over the end of Fifth Street. It's just too late after the weekend.
You can't call the city. I mean, we're not gonna come, we got a lot more things. I mean, you could call us, but I don't think we're gonna respond to a bear taking someone's garbage out with what's going on. So either you can speak to your neighbor. I'm speaking for me.
My neighbor comes up for the weekend, does weekend work, and he leaves, and on Monday, the can's
I
full on
understand,
Sunday.
but I'm not sure, I mean, that seems like the person that maybe.
Do we
speak to
still
your neighbor.
have the container on?
Bear turned it over.
Look the bear.
There's a big one.
We have garbage once a week right now.
Once a week on Friday on Fifth Street, on Thursday, whatever.
So once a week they go right now.
Mondays
You
and
know,
Thursdays.
They're doing Monday and Thursday, but I think it's just, I mean, it's still just they're doing it separate parts of town.
Right.
You
I
just keep
understand,
picking-
I mean, and it's frustrating for you guys.
Well, what's really
You know?
frustrating is garbage men don't pick the garbage up. That's what's frustrating. I mean, it gets full and full over there. For some reason, they don't pick that garbage up across from 415 Fifth Street.
You know, and maybe,
Not once a week?
No, not once a week, no. They don't walk up,
they
check
must
the
not have
cans, see if
service.
they're full. And they're
Oh,
full,
that's
when
a
she comes
different,
and
that's
it's
a
full.
different question than what
That's
you
better.
had.
Yeah, they should be getting it
but
once
we're
a
not
week.
doing backyard
I
pickup,
understand
we're
that,
not.
I understand.
We're not doing backyard pickup right now.
It's not backyard, it's right in the side of his yard.
Well, why don't you submit, there you go.
Talk to me. I'll talk to
Yeah,
you.
we'll get the address and see what we do. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to clarify with the FEMA campers.
Okay.
Did you guys pass that and sign off on that so they can start coming in on the campers?
Yes, they were waiting on that ordinance to be adopted today.
Okay, and that's what it was. That's all I
Good.
was checking on, yeah.
How do you get on that list?
How do you, say that again?
I said, how do you?
I don't know the answer to that. She's asked, how do you get on a FEMA? FEMA camper list?
You just apply for temporary housing assistance.
Through FEMA?
Yes.
Have
through
you
FEMA.
registered with them? You have, but I bet Pat has.
I'm sure she has.
Oh, she has.
If she hasn't, I'll see that she does.
No, you will.
Yes, ma'am. Last, any others? Thank everyone for coming. That motion for adjournment?
So moved.
All right.
I did the red button.
So, I want to make sure I understand.